Good morning, Judith.
Hi, good morning, Sonya.
Welcome to the Coaches Cup podcast. I am Sonya Green from SonyaGreenCoaching.com.
And I'm Judith Fender. I am a coach for the No BS weight loss program. Also, you could find on the podcast Losing 100 Pounds with Corinne Crabtree. I'm trying to
And
connect the program here. That's a lot to say, but
yeah, if you are listening to us, you can't see the board that Judith has behind her. But if you're watching us on YouTube, then you can see that today's topic is gratitude.
yeah.
And this is kind of a cliche topic for heading into the holidays, and but we want to hopefully bring some new thoughts to you about gratitude and and the benefits of it. Not
Mm-hmm.
just, I think right now gratitude is really trendy.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy gratitude journals, and I see people, making their lists of things that they're grateful for. It's just kind of something that's a hot topic right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to talk about how it's also really a positive thing for your mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right away, Sonya, this is good. I'm going to throw you a curveball right off the
All
bat.
right.
What is gratitude and what isn't gratitude? Like what it is
Yeah.
for you. I'm going to the Googles.
You know, I, I'm thinking about how in grade school you couldn't define a word using the word within your definition.
Right? That's exactly where my brain went. Was like, how do you define gratitude without using the
Yeah.
word?
So I guess I'm going to kind of cheat and talk about it's the practice of being thankful for things um, that we have, and but to me it's not just about things, like not physical things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am grateful for, for the home that I have, for the people in my life. Certainly, those are things at the top of my list for, being able to do what I want to do, that the freedoms that I have, that's something that I'm grateful for. That's not a physical thing. But I'm also thankful for sometimes the negative things that we encounter too. And I don't want to jump into that too much right now, but I guess being thankful. What did the Googles say?
The Googles, I'm going to go, it's a noun. The quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness, or
Mm,
a warm feeling of thankfulness towards the world or towards specific individuals. The person who feels gratitude is thankful for what they have and does not constantly seek more. Interesting.
that's nice.
Mhm.
Huh. They don't constantly seek more. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, I think where my brain goes to is like what I hear and what resonates with me is when I am in a state of authenticity, when I'm in the state of presence, I'm also in a state of gratitude
Hmm.
because I'm appreciating the what I have and
Yeah.
being in the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't want any more than what I have because oh my gosh, I'm talking in circles here. Who am I today? Because this is all we have is the moment.
Yeah. When you're up on your mountain, when you hike up on your mountain,
Yeah.
I think about those pictures you send me. That to me is an example of your gratitude for the space that you're in, the moment that you're in.
Yeah, it's an interesting that you brought that up because I do feel like, um, I'm just really grateful for my health and like that. Have I told y'all about my story about my mountain, like growing up?
Tell us. Tell us. Even if you're repeating yourself, it's all good.
Well, this one mountain, it's called Bear Wallow Mountain here in North Carolina. Um, Growing up, when my parents, we moved out to the farm, built a house, and people would come visit us, right? And off in the distance is this mountain. And just like tiny, often you could just tell there's something on that mountain. It's bald on top, it has green grass. And but you can tell there are some structures. And I grew up in the country, and my parents will say, and up there's the fire tower, right? The fire tower with the country accent. And so for years, I called it the fire tower too. I don't even know if I knew, looking back, what I was saying, but at some point in life, I realized it's the fire tower.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Just that
Yeah.
realization. So all this to say, I've lived here my whole life. The Bear Wallow Mountain and the fire tower are in my everyday view. My bedroom window looks at this mountain. And so for 44 years, I have known of this mountain, and I had never hiked it. I'd heard people talking about hiking it. And so when I began my quest for my health and my weight loss journey, part of my journey was climbing that mountain. It's about 20 minutes away from me. It's a mile straight up, it's a mile down. It was a kick ass workout. And so it's interesting that you brought that up, because it is like the culmination, the expression of my thankfulness and gratitude for my journey.
Yeah. Yeah, what a
Gosh,
beautiful symbol.
right? Thank you for drawing that out of me.
No, I just when, I think about that a lot because, well, because you send gorgeous pictures, but, it's your mountain, and
It
I
is.
think that shows your gratitude that you are owning it,
Mm, yeah.
you know?
And I feel that way. Like I'm just, yeah, I'm proud and grateful that I get to
Yeah,
climb that mountain.
yeah.
And it's been part of my life.
But I
With,
think you're also grateful for yourself for
oh,
giving
yeah.
your future self, at that point when you were 44 and decided to do that.
I
You
was actually 48,
Oh, okay,
because
so
we've lived here
44
since I
years.
was 4. So I've
Okay.
been staring at the mountain.
Even
Yeah.
better. I mean, you gave your future self the gift
Mhm.
of being able to call that your mountain. I mean, you're owning it. You're owning
Yeah.
that mile up and mile back down.
Mile up and a mile down. Yeah. And the views are beautiful from there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's now um, in the North Carolina Land Conservancy program. So I'm real proud of that too. I'm just that
Yeah.
it's going to be preserved for generations to come, and the symbolism that it represents for
Yeah.
me personally
Yeah.
and for the future. I'm sorry.
Well, no, no,
Bunny trail.
sorry at all. I love that. I love that example. Um, we were when we were preparing for this podcast, we were looking at some information on gratitude, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of studies have been done recently, but there was one in particular that I wanted to bring up out of Indiana University, and they did a study. A lot of people have studied normal, that is not the appropriate word to use, but they have studied people with no mental health issues, and the effects of gratitude on them. But the IU study, they wanted to look at people who had diagnosed depression and anxiety issues
Mhm.
and see how a gratitude practice affected them. And so it's a small study. They took 300 people, they divided them into three groups. They had 100 people write one letter per week to someone. They could choose to whom they wanted to write it, but a letter of gratitude, one per week for, I think, 4 weeks. Um, the second group, they had to journal about their deepest thoughts and feelings about the negative experiences that they thought were the root of their depression and anxiety.
Mm.
And then the third 100 people, they did no writing whatsoever. They were just the control group, I guess. And so what they found was really interesting. They and the study, they didn't give, this wasn't in a journal that I read this from, so they didn't have the actual results, but they did say that it was a significant number of the group, who wrote gratitude letters, that it was their level um, of neural sensitivity in their
Neural sensitive.
prefrontal, yeah, in their prefrontal cortex. Sorry, I'm trying to remember all this. Was significantly higher than either of the other two groups. So they also responded with fewer feelings of depression and anxiety. And they said that these results compounded in the people over the weeks. So they carried it out. The original study was for 4 weeks, and they did the brain imaging, and they could tell the neural sensitivity had increased. But they carried it out to 12 weeks. And the longer the people spent writing just that one letter a week, so the more weeks they did that, um, the bigger the changes that they saw, and the bigger the changes that the people reported. And
Interesting.
yeah, I think it is because, we advocate for people to journal all the time
Mm-hmm.
about anything. I never tell somebody to focus on just their negative thoughts
Oh
or
God.
yeah, I
I'm
know.
like, please no, let's not go there.
Yeah, because if you think about the think, feel, act, or think, feel, do cycle, I mean, it seems obvious to me why the people who were journaling about the negativity didn't improve,
Yeah,
right?
because you're staying in it.
Yes.
Oh, I just can't even like sometimes, Sonia, I can't even hardly stand it when to like coach someone when it's negative because I don't want to give it any attention.
Yeah.
Let's just like, okay,
And to be fair, we have to give it some attention,
we
right?
do. Absolutely.
To You have to acknowledge, and you have to process that
Mhm,
negativity.
mhm.
Absolutely have to do that. But to stay in it and just sit in it and wallow in it, for if
In
there's a good country word, I didn't think
bear
of,
wallow.
yeah, waller in it. But to just stay in that negativity,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
gonna keep your feeling in a negative place, and it's gonna keep your action in a negative place. So
Yep.
it was obvious to me, like, there's no surprise in those results. And
Yeah.
the people who weren't writing weren't looking at any of that. I mean, they weren't looking at the positives, they weren't looking at the negatives. But I guess the point that was really, that I wanted to bring home is that you do have to process the negative, but focusing on the things that we're grateful for, the things that we're thankful for.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's not just useful for everyday practice, it's useful for your mental health.
Right. And what I hear on that, just what a little I know about the brain as well is, or not as well, just know the reticular activating system. So if you're focusing on gratitude, right, your brain, you can rewire your brain to look for
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
And so if you're practicing gratitude, you're going to find it everywhere. And
yes,
it's such a better feeling than being in the negative space. And it allows you the it's like a gentle bridge from, of course I feel terrible, this is this, blah, blah, blah. But that ability, I guess that'd be the neural sensitivity that you're
yeah,
talking about to come
yeah.
back over and come back to gratitude.
Yeah, and actually rewire that. So if you're somebody, we are not giving you mental health advice
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
We are not licensed psychologists, but
But
we-
we have lived almost 100 years between us. Oh
oh
no, we
my
have because I'll
goodness,
be 53.
we have a lot of life experience in
Yeah.
our group. And so take that. If you have some problems with anxiety, with depression, think about creating a gratitude practice of some sort. And this is the interesting thing. Not not everybody sent their letters. I mean, it's in fact, they said some people, they were to people who had passed on, they weren't still alive,
Mhm.
or they were to people that maybe they still had a very strained relationship with, and they didn't send the letters. And they found no difference in the people
Mhm.
who sent the letters and the people who didn't send the letters. There's
Which
no difference.
which just confirms, right, our thoughts and feelings
It's
in
about
our brain. It doesn't matter if it was 100 years ago or if it really happened. It's what's present in the brain right
yes.
now.
Yes, it has nothing to do with whatever you think. Yeah,
Mhm.
and about the past. It's that present moment, and it's just about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have a little tie-in with a little, I caught a podcast and I wish I could cite the reference, but here's what they said that, and I found, I struggle with anxiety, although it is much, much better. This was a Harvard study and it found that within 7 minutes of a stressful situation, right? So when they specifically said adrenaline and cortisol, when those two are on board, that IQ points can drop by as much as 50 points when you're stressed. And I thought, I believe it.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. My ability to process that when I'm living it, it just feels like, the stress and anxiety is so much more in the front. But
Yeah.
I was very aware of my cognitive limitations when I'm stressed. It's just harder to concentrate. You can't focus. It's just all the things. But there you
Yeah,
go.
and a gratitude practice
Right.
can keep those at bay.
Right.
Maybe not completely. I mean, you're still gonna have times where you're stressed. You're still gonna have times where you can't focus. But if you have that gratitude practice, I think it's easier to have that to kind of fall back on
Mhm. Mhm.
and draw from and kind of get out of that cycle.
Mhm.
Have you found
Totally.
that? Like,
Oh,
you can center yourself on something you're thankful for or something positive to pull yourself out of the anxiety?
it's almost it happens so naturally now.
Yeah.
And the only times I really experience the most anxiety is when I'm judging myself.
Mhm.
Hello. What's up
Yeah.
with that?
Well, interesting that you should mention that because I wanna move into thinking about, um, specifically about the holidays is what made me think about this, but we can practice gratitude ahead of time
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
well. And so when we know those stressful situations are gonna come up, the holidays are very stressful for some people.
Mhm.
Um, and so you can practice your gratitude ahead of time. You can visualize, and that's another thing that came out of that study that I was talking about. Um, the act of writing and not sending, the benefit came from them being able to visualize this whatever it was. It wasn't in it actually happening yet. Um, I'm not being clear there, am I?
Yeah, I'm thinking like, so they wrote a letter to someone and they visualized.
Yeah, they visualize the repair of the situation or the positive the way that the person would accept the letter.
Mhm.
And we can visualize an upcoming event that we know is going to be let's say typically you have this big Thanksgiving dinner and Uncle Bob always makes a fool of himself and embarrasses everybody and you're just kind of dreading it. I don't have an Uncle Bob, so if you have an Uncle Bob, I'm so sorry.
You are Bob.
But we spend our time visualizing the negative things that are gonna happen, and we dread them.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
We
That's
can put that same energy that we spend visualizing the negative and feeling the dread, why not spend that and spend it feeling grateful?
Mm,
Grateful that you have all the crazy characters you have in your family, or
mhm.
grateful that you have no crazy characters in your family. I don't know. I feel badly for you if you don't, because that's what spices up life, right?
Right, right. And so in this podcast, I have another this was a really good tie-in to what you're saying here. Um, this person was saying that he went to a first birthday party. And what made this first birthday party so special was that the person was like, 45 years old and having his first birthday party, that for religious, whatever cultural
Oh,
purposes had never had a birthday party. And that everyone showed up and celebrated him. And he was just so that this person who, it's about receiving
yeah.
the gift of gratitude that so many people, like, we're all accustomed to giving, but like to be the recipient and to feel grateful for the people that show up for you and celebrate you, that he was so moved that
Mm,
he immediately was looking and in pursuit of who he could gift the gift back to.
yeah.
And I love that reciprocity feeling that gratitude can bring.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's funny because the Indiana study, one of the last things that points that they made is that the people who had the most neural sensitivity, different change in their prefrontal cortex, those people were even more attentive to how they could pay it forward, how
Mm,
they
mhm.
could, um, yeah, show that towards somebody else, gift it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think that's super interesting. If you come at your holiday gathering or your relationship with somebody at work, if you look at that relationship from a place of gratitude, and it's easy to do that. It doesn't seem easy to do that, but we have talked all the time about how you don't grow from a level of comfort, you grow from
Mm,
discomfort.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so if you can come at that from, yeah, I'm uncomfortable, but what is this teaching me about myself? What
Absolutely.
am I learning about me from this level of discomfort that I'm feeling? What does, Uncle Bob's crazy antics teach me about myself? If you can come at that from a level of gratitude, then how much better is that going to be for everybody?
Right.
You may change somebody else who you don't even know they're paying attention to you. But
Mm,
your gratitude may have that effect of just kind of washing off on them too.
mm. I hope so. It's got me thinking about the holidays now.
Yeah, as we're doing this, it's the 1st of November, and it seems like a ways away, but it really isn't. It'll be here before we know it.
Mhm.
And it's good to be thinking about how we can show gratitude to all the people in our lives, because it takes all of them to make who we are. We're affected by so many different people, both positive and negative influences, but they all have worked to create who we are. And I personally am grateful for that.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm just really like Sonia. I'm like staring at you. I'm thinking like, I feel like I show up to family gatherings, always with my best self, and
Mhm.
always. And this is interesting before thought work, but with a level of fascination at the characters in the story, right?
Yeah.
Like watching them and showing up, just know, feeling like my role has always been to be the listener, the listener.
Mhm.
Like that's the gift I bring forward, is because I really think people just want to be heard. That's my thoughts,
Yeah.
at least in family situations, or especially maybe for the younger ones in the family, the 20 somethings.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
So, the gift you bring, the gift of who can you gift, right? Am I making sense here?
Absolutely. Your listening ear, your
Yeah.
attention.
It can be so simple. It doesn't have to be a big expressive birthday party for
No.
someone. It can be the simple gift of listening.
Yeah,
who needs to hear, who needs to be heard today?
yeah,
Who can
yeah.
I listen to?
How are you? And then don't just how are you and move on like we do, but look
Mhm.
them in the eye. How are you
Mhm.
doing? How are
Connection.
things going? And then listening. We
Mhm.
don't do that. It's I mean, we don't do it often enough.
Mm. Yeah.
What a beautiful gift.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep. All right. So as we're winding down here, um, we wanted you to think about as our listeners, what can you maybe spend some time writing about today
Mhm.
about gratitude? What are you thankful for? Is there a place where you can start a gratitude practice in your own life that could benefit you? I think we all can do more. It's easy to consume and to get caught in the cycle of consumption. And we need to take more time, or I'll speak for me. I need to take more time to think about how can I impact someone's life, or how can I, just show how thankful I am.
Yeah. I like that. I definitely am thinking. I'm definitely thinking right now about that. And mostly, I'm also very aware of my moment of gratitude just for myself.
Yeah.
Just the calm feeling for the present moment, and not worrying about. I don't want to say I'm not. Well, I'm not worrying. I'm mindful of the future,
Hmm.
but this, when you're coming from a place of gratitude and authenticity and presence, it's such a it's a really powerful place to be.
Yeah. Because you can handle it, whatever it brings.
Yeah. Yeah.
The worst that life is going to bring us is an emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah. And you've set yourself up to handle that.
Yeah.
So,
Enjoy it.
yeah, I mean, really, it's not, it takes work to get there, right?
It
Because our
does.
brains want to focus on the negative.
So y'all, what y'all don't know is Sonya coached me a little before before this podcast. I was saying how you know I'm so calm and centered that my brain is like trying to find a problem. Like, this can't be right. I must be doing this wrong. This must be selfish. I feel, but it's none of that. Like, I have all the awareness, but it just no,
It took some practice to get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Sonya reminded me of,
Yeah.
because Sonya's been on my journey through the school. She's seen me cry.
Well, and we all have those. I hope if we're working and trying to grow,
Hmm.
then we all have those moments, and we should be so grateful to ourselves for the work that we put in.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, if it was up to our brains,
Oh God.
we would just be sitting back on autopilot.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So creating awareness, when you get there, it's like, oh, well, this is so easy. But it's not easy in the moment. The discomfort is real.
Yeah, yeah. The word, the phrase I'm thinking, that it feels like I'm the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
I'm in the center, and the world is just going around, and you know, the world being thoughts and feelings, and
Yeah. So maybe I didn't think about this beforehand, but maybe listeners, you want to make a list of the things that you want to change in your life over the next year.
mm,
What are things that you can practice gratitude ahead of time? You're going to gift yourself with a better health,
mm,
better mental health, Maybe
Mhm.
it's a degree you've been wanting to get. Maybe it, I don't know. What are the things that you really want to do for yourself? And how can you practice gratitude ahead of time to thank yourself for this gift, even as you're working through it and giving it to yourself? How
Mm.
can you be thankful for the discomfort that you're going to go through?
Mm. Wow. It's so worth it.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely worth it. So, repairing, whether it's repairing a relationship,
Yep.
and which is something we're going to talk about next week. So, so if you have a challenging relationship, then you're going to want to tune in again next week. All right. You have anything else?
Good. I'm just
All right. Well, I'm very grateful for you
I am very grateful for you. I am. Thank
and
you.
for all of our listeners out there who've listened to us, and I guess they indulge our
Conversations?
yeah, our conversation. All right. Well, we will see you next week.
Mm.
Until then, you can find us on iTunes or on YouTube at the Coach's Cup podcast.
Mm.
We would love for you to give us a review, positive review.
We would be so thankful.
Yeah, so grateful for your kindness. All right. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.